do you guys realize we've barely gotten any press releases the past 2 months? Like we had the earnings press release, and then we kind of had this like partnership they're doing with some company in France the other day. But what is your guys' take on the fact that by now, a couple of years ago, Palantir would have like 10 different new companies and partnerships, yada, yada, collaborations. I think they're just executing and they don't care about like showing off via some corporate press release. But what is your guys' take on that, Dom? Start with you.
Yeah, I mean they're focused. You saw Chad posting like heads down, we're mission on mission. You know, you haven't seen much from Ileano. Like you only have 3,900 employees, so you know you can celebrate for 2 seconds and do your little dance at 125, and then they know they got to get back on mission. I mean, this is a very mission-driven culture and company, very unique. You guys have met the people. You guys have been in the office, so I mean, you know what it's like. They're not trying to get people super excited. They know the numbers will speak for themselves. So, you know, imagine if they have a growth quarter next quarter that shows 40 or 50% and shocks everybody. You know, so they're just focused on doing it their way, which I've grown to love because I know that they're going to stay focused and be good stewards of their money and fiscally responsible. And the product is beyond, you know, amazing.
Anyone else have a take on no press releases over the past couple months?
Yeah, I think press releases may not be like plenty, but public appearances are. I mean, let's just take the past week. Like we had the XAI thing, Trump's personal greeting. We have the book tour. We have Stromer coming out personally, like the I don't know if they call him prime minister. I guess they do, of the UK. Great Britain going out and meeting up with Palantir like straight after meeting up with Trump. I mean, they are doing a lot of stuff. So I don't know if press releases like means that like is something to use as a gauge. I mean, they've been plenty in the public eye recently, so I don't think too much about it personally. I think they have a lot of positive attention in the media, and I think that's a good substitute. Even though we don't get like, yeah, we partnered up with X, like typically we don't get any kind of details there anyway, like contract amount of years. Like they're very scarce with that. We just get like some overview typically. So I'm personally fine with just having stuff like this instead. And I think this image that you're showing off now in particular really sets the tone on the eve of Europe gaining their independence by saying that they will rely less on the US and starting their own coalition of increased defense spending and stuff like that. All of that benefits Palantir. Even though, you know, recently... Yeah, recently we had, there are some talks about the US and Ukraine, for example, where people seem to think that keeping this war ongoing benefits Palantir. I think it's the opposite, because if you all recall, Corp always speaks about strength through deterring our adversaries, which means that in times of peace, that's when you actually need to bolster up and make yourself so threatening to adversaries that they don't even think about going to war with you. So I think rebuilding Ukraine, we know that Palantir has a deal with BlackRock and some others to rebuild Ukraine. I think peace would be very good for Palantir. I don't even know if they started charging for their software in Ukraine. We know that they gave them to Ukraine for free. I don't know if Palantir has seen any dollars from that. So yeah, very positive momentum, even though no PRs are being put out on the website. I think that we're seeing them in the public eye a lot recently.
Matt, your thoughts on...
I think one of the things as well, you know, over the past 12 to 18 months, we've really seen a shift into people thinking Palantir is a positive force within the United States and across the world. And before that, if you guys remember when they were really trying to get the NHS deal and all the smear campaigns that were out there, you know, obviously I feel like on the back of that, you really needed to make sure that your brand was out there, who you're partnering with was out there, to really make people understand that, hey, we're a great company, we're doing things for the better, we're partnering with health systems, we're partnering with hospitals to make sure that, you know, people are getting better faster and things of the like. Now that you're more so in the good graces of the world, it seems like, in my opinion, based off of the visibility that I've seen the company with, I feel like if you were to continue to kind of put out too much information, it might seem like you're trying to pile on a little bit. So I feel like I can see a good strategic shift back. They're not trying to hide or anything like that. They're not trying to lack transparency. I don't view the company in that sort of lens. The culture is still very strong there. But I think now that you've gotten a little bit of love and things are starting to head in the right direction, it almost might seem like gloating if you continue to kind of put out as many press releases as they previously were. As people like us, when the stock was below $100 billion market cap, we were excited because we were saying, okay, look, you can kind of see these guys are actually the real deal. Now I think everyone recognizes with how much they've been able to sponsor, like the Reagan conference and many other great conferences, people are starting to recognize, okay, these guys are the real deal. I don't think they need to prove it anymore. So I'm with you, Amit. I think you stated it perfectly. Maybe it was Dom. So apologies, I don't remember which one of you said it, but it's basically like now it's just time to get back to delivery and actually just focus on that rather than putting press releases in people's face.
I think also too, like we have to realize if you've invested in this company as long as we have, you have to trust the management team.
Yeah.
Like we're not looking for all. Yeah, we'd like them to partner with more and scale more, but you got to trust the management team, and they have a good pulse. And to Amir's point, man, dude's been like Nostradamus lately, just predicting things left and right, and then they happen. So, they have zero debt. I mean, and $4+ billion in cash. So it's not like they're going, under if they have a bad quarter or whatever. They're focused on doing it their way, doing it the right way. And I think they understand the business side of things a lot more than what people give them credit for.
I tend to think that the press releases are a tool to communicate to the outside what is happening, but also the narrative that the company tries to share. We need to think, I believe we are all content creators here, and we know that, for instance, if we just do the same stuff, even if it is valuable for like 2 months non-stop, you reach a saturation point where it's not interesting any longer. So we need to think of press releases as shots of a bazooka that help you shape, oh, this actually happened. Let's try to understand better what is happening. Give me a signal. And frankly, I was surprised as well that compared with the past quarters, we essentially had an entire month with just 1-2 press releases of deals, and seems very bad considering the fact that as Palantir grows, the marginal client to acquire is easier. So that could be scary at first sight, but in reality, what they're seeing is just maturing. Then the parallel that I have is for people that have been following us for a long time, when the valuation was very low, we spent literally a lot of time at Palantir Weekly trying to dissect the financial metrics. People may know that also on X, I was sharing a lot of charts on the financial metrics, showing why, while the narrative was very bad, I thought, okay, but this is the reality that is emerging, which is actually positive. If I did exactly that now, that would be boring. Like, and now people realize, oh, Palantir is a good company. So as the time evolves, also the kind of content you need to share needs to evolve and needs to speak to the context that is actually happening. This doesn't mean that I will not talk about financial metrics any longer. It just means that talking about financial metrics right now is important, but less important than really understanding the context that is also beyond the financial metrics. This to say that the same thing happened with a company. Maybe right now press releases are not that strategical as they were to set the momentum, to set the narrative of, oh, Palantir is actually delivering. Oh, Palantir is actually delivering value in so many verticals, and not only many verticals, but in so many use cases. We are now at the point where essentially Palantir is trying very gradually to mapping all the potential use cases in the enterprise. So I believe deals will keep arriving, but the real focus now was into shaping the message that Carp and the management are trying to push on, maybe more on the book side, on the technological importance, on the politics. I think it's not a random thing that we are seeing Sham more into politics. We see Louis Mosley being more public into what Palantir is doing in the UK. So I believe the perception now wants to be more into the government side, because maybe my speculation is the momentum on the commercial side is keep building on itself, while on the government right now there is the opportunity to push more. And since there's also the Doge influence, there is a very big opportunity to make the US government side go very well. Because I think there was some hints in the last financial release that they really believe the opportunity on the US government is still very untapped. So my speculation is they're trying to push to create more momentum in the government side. And if they just bombarded us with like every week a press release, the marginal press release would be just another one. While this way,
playing the
they
long
can
game.
capture a wave.
They're playing the long game. Like they don't have, I mean, the stock is very healthy now. So to your point, Arnie, do they need to send press release every time they close a deal? Or do they need to have Sham out there shaking hands and kissing babies with big foreign leaders and Carp talking to the prime minister? Like they're trying to secure contracts for long term.
Yeah, I would agree. I agree with everything you guys are saying. Like the press releases at this point now are just like, you know, it's nice to see them, but it's not about educating the public that they're a real company like it was 2 years ago. So if they have a big one, then yeah, they put it out. But these small partnerships that they need to do to like legitimize themselves, they're already legitimate, right?
More dev cons, do more dev cons. Like the more that they keep scaling that market and keep getting developers getting their hands on this, it's going to really blow up.
Yeah, I agree. All right, that is it for us on Palantir Weekly. We will be back next week. I think the big thing this week to cover was just the stock declining, but obviously it is what it is. It happens. This is part of being an investor in the markets. And yeah, DEF CON was
Shout
awesome.
out to you, Amit. 200 episodes, man. That's a
Shout
lot.
out to all of us, right?
I haven't been there for all of them, but I know you, Arnie, and Matt, and Namir have been there for most of them.
For a ton of them. Yeah, well, this is, I forgot, this is episode number 200. It's cool, dude.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's almost 4 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a world, dude. What happens when we get to episode number 500? I mean, like, it's just.
I mean, dude, it's crazy now. Like, I have family members that'll text me out of nowhere, like, Palantir, so thankful you had me talk about, like, I didn't know what I was buying, but you just kept talking about it at Thanksgiving, you know? So
I think that's the cool thing as well. A lot of us told friends or family when it was like $10, like, hey, I'm like part of this. Yeah, like just trust me. Like I'm part of this online secret community. There's like 100 of us on Friday nights at 1 a.m. We like listen to these random guys talk about it. And it's like, I've heard these stories from people at the meetups I've been having this year. And they're like, I told everyone in 2022 that I follow these guys on YouTube. I think they know what they're talking about. I put a lot of money into you. And then, you know, obviously the stock did what it did and they're getting all the credit. Like they're the biggest stock genius. So they think we're the biggest stock geniuses, where in reality, none of us are. We just got obsessed with.
I like what Randy said. He said at episode 500, maybe it'll be $500 a share. That would be pretty awesome.
That would be pretty awesome.